Today's video, guys, we're going to be doing a video about storage. I think it's a really important facet of the comic collecting world, and I think it's something that gets a little bit overlooked by collectors. I think most of us tend to think, we know what we're doing. But this is kind of something that's more for the beginning collectors, for the people who have just started out, the ones who might not know how to do things. So I'm going to try to share some tips, some tricks that I use that hopefully I'll be able to help out some newer collectors and maybe kind of spread some knowledge to some guys that are already more experienced in the collecting world. So first of all, obviously, if you're just starting out collecting, you're going to wonder, how do I store my books? So the first thing you're going to want, bags and boards. So you've got these bags here. This is a common book that you're going to find. This is the type of set you're going to find it at a comic shop. It's going to be in a bag. It's going to be have a backboard. The board looks like this. Basically, the job of the board is to keep the book as straight as possible. These aren't perfect. These don't stop from bending. They're quite flimsy, as you can see. But what they do is when you're in your storage containers, those keep your shape, and those really help to keep your book straight. The bags, what they do is they don't lock out moisture, but they really aid in from getting any moisture, anything that might be spilled, anything that's gonna come in contact with these books. Fingerprints, oils from your fingers are a big thing. I always try to wash my hands before I handle my books, because you'd be amazed at the oils that can really gather on your fingertips. Oils are a huge thing that will kill your books. So when you're handling this, just expose, hopefully you like my Blue Yeti microphone / comic stand. I'm missing one, so I gotta buy another one. These bags, what they do is they keep the acid. I can touch this all day, and what that's going to do is these are acid-free bags and boards. They're going to keep the acid off the books. That's a huge killer. You'll see sometimes people who use backing board that's just like regular cardboard. To me, that's a big no-no. It's not acid-free. These are acid-free, so that keeps the acid off your book. The acid kills the ink. It kills the pages, the paper, you name it. It's brutal for your books. Next up is, where do you store your books? Where do you keep them? So in terms of location in your home, you're going to want to make sure that it's in an area where it's pretty moisture free for the most part. Well, not for the most part, but moisture free. So not in a basement and not in an attic. Those are probably the two most obvious places that you're going to want to store something. You think of storage, you think of basements and attics. In an attic, the temperature swings tend to be hot. I don't know if you've ever been in an attic at 12 o'clock on an afternoon in the summer. If it's 15, I say 15 or 20 degrees Celsius, so if it's like 75, 80 degrees outside, it's 100 degrees in your attic, or it's 40 degrees Celsius in your attic. It's so hot. So the temperature swings really create a lot of moisture and create a lot of things that can damage your book. In the basement, there's a ton of moisture that usually generates in people's basements, especially unfinished basements. So if you don't have a dehumidifier, moisture, most people get like leaks and they get water damage in their walls and stuff, and you get a little bit of water on your floor. That'll kill your books too. That moisture will just eat away at your books. You'll get, you see a lot of books that might be advertised as water damage. That generally is what that is from. That's from moisture that they haven't been stored properly. You'll see that they'll be a little wavy. The pages might look a little really off-colored, almost like a water stain. That's what you'll get when you get the moisture. So that's where you should really store your books in terms of location. Now, in terms of what you should store them in, don't store them in dressers, don't store them in filing cabinets, don't store them under your bed, don't lay them along, a lot of shelves. Don't lay them on your shelves like so, and stack. It might seem obvious, hey, these books are here, they fit here great. Don't do that. You're going to want to store your books in, comic long boxes or short boxes, they call them. I use something a little bit different. I want you guys to let me know what you think of it, because I actually just kind of started doing it a while ago, and I think it's really cool. I bought these at Canadian Tire. If you're in the States, your equivalent would probably be like, I don't know, a Lowe's or like a Home Depot, anywhere like that. They're just basic. These are Sterilite, I guess it's called, Sterilite containers, Tupperware, whatever. They're just great for storing your books. Why I think they're better than the long boxes and the cardboard short boxes. And if you have a reason why you think these are not good for your books, please let me know. They're waterproof. you know, I can put this in an area, and if water is spilt, or if there for some reason is a flood, if your toilet backs up upstairs and or your tub overflows and you leave it and all of a sudden there's half an inch of water on your floor, if you have your comics anywhere where that water happens to get to, and I mean it's obviously worst case scenario, right? So you're planning for the worst possible thing. It's gonna go through your long boxes, or at the very least it's gonna ruin your boxes. At worst case, it's gonna go through and it's gonna ruin your books. Water is not going to get through this. You could throw this in a pool. You could submerge this in a pool. Actually, I don't know. These obviously aren't tight, so water would get in. But you could put water up to here, and these are going to be just fine. Water's not getting through anywhere else on this box. So that's why I really like these. But there's nothing wrong with using, you know, go to your local comic shop and you can buy, you know, you buy the short boxes and the long boxes and you unfold them and you lock them into place and boom, 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 you put your comics in. That's great. Next up, guys, I'm going to break away from this. I'm going to show you guys how I like to store my books. When you, sorry, I got something in my eye. Oh, okay, all good. When you have your books, you'll notice that this side here, the spine is what that's called. That tends to be thicker and heavier than this side, the inner, or the other edge of your book, I should say. So what you'll often get is you'll get what's called a spine roll, and that's usually caused from books being improperly stored on top of each other, or just a book being improperly stored in this heavy side putting weight, and it'll basically cause the book, the cover, to roll to one way, or you'll see it sometimes it'll be rolled right up. So basically what I like to do, guys, is when I store my books, I store them front to back in their boxes, and what that does is it spreads the weight of the spines to each side. You know, it alternates the weight, and I think that does a really good job. I think if you look in your boxes, you'll see that there's often they're in there, but they're kind of in there a little sideways. What that does is that alleviates that weight. Instead of having all those spines on one side, it breaks it up. So I'm going to break away here, guys. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a closer look at that, and you let me know what you think about that idea. I think it's a pretty cool idea, so let me know what you think down below. Okay, guys, so I just wanted to show you quickly what I meant by my kind of alternating spine direction. So I'll pull this book up. You can see here, it's facing this way. This book here, facing that way. Next book, that way. Next book, that way. So what that does, like I said, is basically instead of putting all of the spines on this side and having all of your weight on this side, it basically just kind of spreads that weight out. And I think that it really evens out the weight throughout your box. I think it's a really great way to kind of just give your books a little bit more security, and you know, they're going to be sitting in these boxes for a long time, more than likely. Most of us are collectors who are probably going to have our books for quite a while. So I think it really gives you just that added bit of security for your books when you lay them in your boxes, instead of having all the weight here and having that roll crushing these. That really helps out. While I'm down here, guys, while I'm kind of showing you my box here, I wanted to show you guys another tip too that I have for new collectors is you're going to want to try to fit as many books in these boxes as you can. I don't know how many books I have here. If I had to guess, I don't know. There's got to be, I don't know. I'm not even going to guess. I was never good at that kind of thing. But you're going to want to jam as many in here as possible. You know, you want to try to get the most bang for your buck. You want to fit as many in your boxes as you can. It's really good to leave a bit of room. You'll notice if I move this, these books do have a little bit of room. It's not so much room that they fall over. You know, I have had it where you don't have enough books in here and you look over and they're laying down like this. These aren't going to do that because there's enough books in here. I'll actually put it down here. You guys can see they're in there pretty straight. Looks pretty good from here at least. I don't know how it looks on the video. But you just want to make sure that you don't jam these books in here. Like, you want to be able to freely be able to do this and pull a book. You shouldn't have to, you know, pull. You'll notice sometimes if you have your books overpacked, you'll go to pull it out and another book will almost stick to it. And what that is that's the moisture on the outside of your bags, which is why you have the bags, of course. It's not on your book, so that's a good thing. But it gives your books a little bit more room to breathe. So that's another tip, guys. Don't jam your boxes full of books, whatever you do. Okay, guys, so I've got one last tip for you here before I end the video. If you guys have liked this video, if you think that these tips have worked for you, maybe if you learned something that you thought, that's kind of cool, or if you didn't like it, leave a comment below, let me know what you thought. Really appreciate the like on the video, and the subscription on the channel really goes a long way for me. Thanks a lot, guys. So let's get into this last tip. So most local comic shops, when you go to buy a book, you'll see they use this Scotch tape on their bags. It's very readily available. Most people have it in their house. Scotch tape, it comes on those little rolls. It's great. It does stick to these bags particularly well. Too well sometimes. Definitely had, and I'll get into that in a sec, had some bad experiences with it. So that's what you generally will see used. The reason I advise you not to use it, and I'll show you why right now. I'm not going to do an example. But 2 reasons. It tends to ruin bags. So when it's on these bags for too long, I find that I'll go to pull this off and you'll rip your bag to pieces. You'll just have a hole in your bag here. It'll rip it to pieces. The other thing, and you'll see how that is. So when I lift that flap up and I pull that book out, that book is coming almost right in contact with that tape. It's actually happened to me twice, and I feel like a complete moron. Luckily, they were on, not really my valuable book. So, very, very lucky. But what happened is you're pulling the book out, and all of a sudden the tape gets stuck to the cover, and then you're frozen and you don't know what to do. 9 times out of 10, you're going to rip a piece of your cover off. So that's why I've avoided this tape now. So what I've done, guys, and I've seen other people do this, so I'm definitely not the originator of this. I've switched to this blue painter's tape. So you'll see that it's a lot easier to kind of get off of this here. It's not as, it doesn't have the stickiness that I find that the Scotch tape has. So you won't necessarily run into that problem where it'll stick to you. It will stick to your cover, but I find this is a lot more forgiving than this kind of tape. So definitely, say no to Scotch tape. Say yes to, they call it painter's tape. This is blue painter's tape. They make it green. They make it every color in the book. Pick yourself up some painter's tape. I find it works a lot better for your bags and boards. So guys, in closing, this was my tips and tricks video on how you can store your books. I hope that I gave you guys some decent tips. I hope that you guys like the way that I do things. Like, as I said before, if you guys have anything to add, if you think I do something wrong, definitely let me know in the comments below, because I want to know. If you've heard some sort of horror story about the type of container that I showed on this video today, let me know, because I've looked it up and I haven't been able to find anything. I think they're genius, but obviously there's a reason that people use those short and long boxes so much. So let me know in the comments below what you thought. Hope I helped somebody out today. If one new collector watches this video today and learns something new, then this video serves its purpose as far as I'm concerned. So keep an eye on the channel, guys. Got a lot of cool stuff coming down the pipes. I got a lot of cool books coming in. I got some really cool videos for the channel. The mail has been super backed up. So I just got a pretty substantial order. This Shazam 1 here and the Marvel here, Secret Wars 1 9.0 was a part of that mail call. I got a bunch of other cool books that came with that one. So that's going to be a video probably coming later in the week. Maybe early next week, as I'm just moving into my new place, pretty busy. So we got a really cool mail call coming up. I got some really cool books coming still that are in the mail. Some first appearances, some really nice keys. So keep an eye on the channel, guys. Some cool stuff coming. You don't want to miss out. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and happy hunting.